Okay, let's start. First, I want to talk about three things that I find some problems in some of the contact sheets. First of all, it's panning and long exposure and freeze. Just some comments to do better job. Okay, share. So for panning, lots of the people have pannings of cars or motorcycle or bikes. So that was very good. But some of them tried to get this, but they were not successful. And some other people have some other kind of panning. So I want to say that when you want to have a panning of a motorcycle or a car, you should, first of all, you should align your movement, your camera movement with the speed of the car or motorcycles. First, here we are seeing a motorcycle, so a motorbike. So you just point to the camera and point to the subject and move with that subject. Here you see start from beginning the plan. So you point there and you start moving. During moving, when it's in front of you, exactly in front of you, you take the photo and continue moving to the end. So this is the point. And by and by, you will learn that which shutter speed is suitable for your panning. And it's really dependent to the speed of the vehicle, to the speed of the things that you are gonna capture it. So if a man is running, it's really different from a motorbike, or also it is related to the focal length. So you should care about all these things. First of all, think about your normal shutter speed, then you go a little bit lower. Sometimes even with a normal, because you're moving. So just try to find it. I cannot give you numbers because first of all, it's not a good strategy to have numbers and try to take photo with just, you should find it by yourself. I will tell you the rule and you will find the numbers. So this is the things. Please consider it. Start moving and capture it and continue moving. And I advise you, I recommend everyone to try this. The one who just try to get panning in home or some other places, I advise you to go out and take the, from motorcycle or motorbike or car. They are it could be better and beautiful, and it's very good practice. Then let's go to long exposure. Okay. About long exposure. So long exposure means long time exposure, means that it's more than 1 second, 2 seconds, or something like that. It's seconds. So you should be always careful about shaking the camera. So it is really fundamental. It is really important to fix the camera. If you think that you can move your camera for 3 seconds on your hand, think again. It's impossible. You cannot stabilize your camera on your hand just for seconds. No, it's impossible. You should put it somewhere or use a tripod. So it should be stable. This is very important. I saw lots of your long exposure that it was also shaking. So here, if you see in this photo, these are not shaking, these are moving lights. We understand that the camera is shaking if the fixed object are also blur. Like here, you see the window it's not blurry, windows is perfect, so the camera is not shaking. And the last one is freeze. Okay, for freezing, speed is very important. You should find which speed is very good. Usually 1 or 2 stops, it's okay, but sometimes because of the subject that is faster, you need to go higher than 2 or 3 stops. So the speed is important. The focus is very important. And the background. When you want to freeze something, always care about the background. Because if the background is too crowded, or it's too empty, or in the same color, you cannot have the very good photos. I want you to say that you should care about this thing in your assignment. So contact sheet is just a proof of your practicing, but assignment is a thing that you should care about it. And thank you for people who change their name to surname, comma, and last name, first name. So this is very important to do all your assignment or all your contact sheets the same way, because I put them in the different folders. So I have you arranged by your name. Thank you, the one who did this. And I advise the other person for the next time also do it the same. So I want to talk about, so now you understand all of these 5 things that you should do. So for this assignment, it's 10% of your mark. For the assignment, you must present 5 digital photos in JPEG format directly from your camera to D12. When I said directly to your camera, it doesn't mean that you should not copy them on your hardware, or you are not allowed to store them anywhere. No, I mean that do not crop or change anything. I want to see the exif of photo, that there is no sign of Photoshop, Lightroom, or anything. Okay, it should be direct without any changing. So this is very important because I will check them. And you should have, and it's very important, it should be JPEG and without any changing. Okay, this is very important. I'm focusing on these things. So you should have 5 photos that you already knew all of them. Freezing, emotion. So the things that could be very useful, something like drop of water, it's very good, but just be, some of you I saw in contact sheet. For contact sheet, it's okay to have a splash of water and it's not too much bright and you have a, you don't have a nice background. For contact sheet, it's okay. But for your assignment, I want a perfect photo. So something like this, at least. So you have very good background, it's dark, and you have very good focus drop. So please try to find the best of yours, because I want just 5 photos. You already took many of them. So just 1 photo that it's very good for freezing. And it is not necessary to, I want to say that it's not obligatory to have the drop of water. You can have, for example, a person in the sky, anything, okay? Just a dog jumping, anything. But it should be freezing, it should be bright, it should be focused. Okay, I will talk about this criteria later. Here we have, okay, choosing the right camera setting. It means that you should take your photo with shutter priority. Okay, in Canon it is TV, and it's Nikon it is S, and in Sony it's S. So you should take your photo in shutter priority, and also it should not be changing anything. Visual scene, the things that I was talking about, it background and all the things should be clear, bright, and other things. Correct lighting, it's about the brightness, and it should not be too bright or too dark or something like this. And correct focusing, that you know about focusing. Motion blur, again, choose something very good and beautiful. For example, like this photo. It is very nice photo because it's showing people are dancing, they're happy. Anything that it's you can understand it. That's something that is very good. I can go through your photo and show some of them if you want from your photos. Panning also, please find something very good. And some of you did very good jobs. For example, this one. Yeah, actually these are from my previous students. This one and this one. But this panning, this motion, it's from internet, but the other are from my previous students. Zoom burst, yeah, and long exposure photography. For long exposure, it is very important to fix and stabilize your camera. Okay, that is very important, and you should have a good quality photo and good lighting. So yeah, and ISO is recommended to be automatic, but if you put your ISO by hand and decide, for example, 200 or 400, I do not care about this right now. Okay, so This is something optional. Yeah, this is all about your assignment. You can prepare. So we are gonna talk about something that is very nice and beautiful for portrait photographers. And this is the reason that I have chosen this portrait for the, the cover of this session. It's depth of field. Shallow depth of field means a narrow one, small depth of field that we see in this photo. As you see, here is a pretty girl, and the background is completely blurred. And also we saw something like bubbles and some circle there. So we are going to talk about these things today. All the things related to aperture and other things that we are going to talk about it today. But aperture is the most important thing. Aperture is one of the three sides of exposure triangle. The other two being shutter speed and ISO that we already talked about shutter speed. Aperture can be defined as a hole or an opening in the lens through which light travel or enter the camera. Just think about how your eyes work. As you move between bright and dark environment, the iris in your eyes either expand or shrink, controlling the size of your pupil. Thus, they are controlling the amount of light entering to your eyes. So the iris of our eyes is something automatic. So we move from a dark place to bright place, it be shrink and narrow. So because it wants to control its light, and we see everything very good. So maybe when we just jump out of the room to the yard for a seconds or less than a seconds, we see, wow, that's too bright. But after that, it will be okay. So this is because of iris in our eyes, and all the things are automatic. I already talked about it, that normally this is automatic, but if we be unconscious, they won't work. The pupil of your lens is called aperture. You can narrow or widen the size of aperture to allow more or less light to reach your camera sensor. F number show the size of aperture. So if you look at inside of this lens, you see a hole that is adjustable. Look at this. I can change this hole. See, this is the aperture. And in this old lens, I can change the aperture from here on the lens. You see? So this old lens has three rings. One is for zooming, the other is for focusing, and the other is for aperture. Again, look at from here. Yeah, this is close and open. So nowadays our lens doesn't have these things. So this is a Nikon lens that we can change the aperture by our hand, but it's not adjustable here, but we can change it. See, this is closed and this is wide open. And this is a very, very fast lens. So it has a very wide aperture. See, so this hole is very important in exposure triangle. Remember my example about the door, and I said that if you are in a room, a crowd, a bunch of people, but then they want to go out. If you open the door for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's different. And now think that how open is the door? If we open the door a little or wide open, this is really important. That how just think about, for example, suppose a sea train that one of the door is not open completely, so it's like this, so people cannot go so too fast, or they should wait one by one and just jump out of the train. This is the meaning of aperture in very simple word. How the door is wide, how wide is open. And these are f-stops. Do you remember we talked about stops in exposure and stop in shutter speed? We already know that shutter speed is, for example, 100. We make it double, it's 200 of a second. Then we make it again double, it's 1 of 400 of a second. So we double them. But here in aperture, we call them f numbers. And f numbers have a very specific numbers, and they all are all the same. So we always have the same because it's a fraction. It's a fraction, and it is fixed in the factory. It starts from 1.4 to 2.8, 4, 5.6, 8, 11, 16, 22, 32, 47, and 64. But remember, not all of the lenses have all of these f numbers. Usually they cover portion of this, some part of these numbers. For example, if you look at this one, it started from 3.5, then go to 5.6. So 3.5 is between 4 and 5.6. Then 5.6, then we have 8, 11, 16, and 20. That's all. So these are the numbers for these lenses. Each lens has its own variety and range of the f numbers. For example, most of your lens, it's 3.5 to 22, the same things that we have here. Most of your lenses are the same like this one. But what is important in lenses is the widest one. The widest one means the speed of the lens. And on any lens, you can see that what is the widest one. We talked it previously. Let me go back to that one. Here, yeah. You see here, we have 1, okay? Then we have 1.8. So this 1.8 is the widest or the lowest f number or the widest aperture that this lens can have. So any of your lens, you can find this 1, then colon, then we have 1.8. Okay, check your lens and see what is it. I believe that most of them is written 3.5-5.6. So most of your lenses are the same. It means that they have, because it's a zoom lens, it means that it starts from 3.5 in the less focal lens. It means when the lens is wide, and when the lens is tele, it's 5.6. So this is the widest number or the lowest f number, the widest aperture of your lens. And here, aperture and exposure. As we know, aperture is very important in exposure triangle, and it has a very important effect, and it has very effect on the light. As aperture changes in size, it changes the overall amount of light that touches your camera sensor, and as a result, the brightness of your image. You see here, we have 1.4 that is wide open, and the photo is very bright. Then we have 2.84. You see the colors are changing, and we have f16 that is really close, and the photo is dark. So aperture has effect on the lighting. A large aperture, a wide opening, will transmit a lot of lights, result in the brighter photo. Small aperture close just the opposite, making photo darker. Just remember, this is very important. Lower numbers mean wider. Okay, f1.4 or f2 means wider, but f16 means closer. Remember that the f number and the size of aperture are opposite. Okay, this is important, they are opposite. Large f number means smaller aperture, smaller f number means large aperture. You see in this photo, in these photos, the exposure time or shutter speed is one of the 90 seconds. So they are all the same, but we are changing the f number, 1.8, 2.8. You see the photo is getting darker and darker. And I want to show it right now. Before that, we are going to talk about AV mode photography or aperture priority. In Canon, it's AV, and in Nikon, it's A. We usually choose AV or A mode when the main concern of photograph is depth of field. In this mode, we define the f number and the camera will choose the shutter speed. So it's something like TV, but it's vice versa. We will choose the aperture, camera will choose the shutter speed. So we will choose the aperture because aperture is more important for us. We are concerning about the depth of field. ISO could be either automatic or manual. For now, please put your ISO still on automatic. And depth of field. Okay, before going to depth of field, I want to show the aperture again through the camera to see what is it. Now you are seeing my screen, and this is what I have right now. So let me just change it to here. I'm gonna focus here. Okay, now I focus on the book and I put the camera on here for now. I put the camera on M because I want to just control the shot. I want to put the shutter speed on the same things. So, and I want to control ISO. So I put ISO 800 and I put, so this is not for you, this is just for learning, okay? Don't worry. Okay, we start from 5.8. You see 5.8 is my, and I will keep shutter speed and ISO the same in all the photos because we want to see that how aperture has effect on the lighting or exposure. Okay, I take a photo with this one. I will go one step forward. For one step forward, it's the same from shutter speed. It means you should dial 1, 2, 3 per time. 1, 2, 3. So this is one stop forward. 0.8. So f8. You see, this is the photo. Then again, 1, 2, 3. Should be 11. Yeah. Okay. You see the image is gonna be less bright, and gonna be okay. That was too much light at first, and now it's okay, 16. And again, 1, 2, 3. Again, 1. It's like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 22. And so this is the last one here, 32 or 30. because after that we do not have a full stop. We have 1/3 of a stop. Well, I won't go anymore because this is just 1/3 of a stop, not a full stop. In the distance between nearest and the farthest object that are acceptably sharp focus in an image. So here you see this photo. Actually, anyone know what is it? It's just a question out of a class, but I'm just
fish.
Yeah,
That
good.
carries sand out of its.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. So it's a fish. Yeah, it's very funny that it's fish. I think its name is skipper or something. I don't know. I forgot the name. But this fish can get out of the sea and just walk on the mugs using.
Spits dirt.
Pardon?
Spits dirt out of its mouth.
Yeah, yeah, on mods and other things. Yeah. So you see this is a fish, and yeah, okay. So if you look at this fish, we have the head completely focused, but in front of that, these mods are not focused, and after the fish, the tail of the fish is not focused. So these area, just these area are focused. We called it depth of field. The place in a photo, the area in our photo that is in focus, okay, in front of the main subject and back of the main subject. What is focus is depth of field. Sometimes it's shallow, it's narrow, and sometimes it's long and wide. We call it shallow depth of field, and we call it wide or long depth of field. Here, the depth of field can be calculated based on 3 things. Actually, there are 4. But I'm not going to talk about the 4th one because it's not really important. You cannot control it right now because the number 4, I will just a short comment about number 4. The number 4 is the size of your sensor, the size of your sensitive part of your camera, actually your sensor, digital sensor. So you buy the camera, you have the size of the sensor, and that's all. So we are not going to talk about it. But remember, larger sensor have shorter depth of field, but now you have what you have, so that's all. Now we are going to talk about these 3 things that they are adjustable. We have control on them: focal length, distance to subject, and aperture. So there are 3 things, not just one thing, 3 things that have effect on depth of field. If you see this photo, this is a portrait photo. The girl using her mobile phone in the C train station, and we cannot see the other faces. So, and now everyone understands that this is the object. This is we are talking about this girl. I don't need to, for example, say the 3rd one, the last one, the 1st one, because it's on focus. We understand we are talking about this one. So focus is very important in, the depth of field is very important because she is the only person that is in the focus. It could be 2 or 3 person, but here is the only person.
I have a question. So you can do the same thing if you do it on shutter priority and just manual focus on the one subject, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between manually focusing it and using the aperture priority?
Okay. Focusing on something, depth of field is something else. Listen, here, for example, here we have, it's exactly the slide that you are looking at is the same thing that you already did for focused practice. Do you remember? So here, yeah, you are right, because we focus on the last one, then we focus on the first one, and we focus on the middle one. But how you understand that this is just focus? Because our focus is too narrow. You got the point? Just focus on the first one, then focus on the second one, and focus on the last one. This is the reason that I told you when you were practicing focus that use your longest focal length.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I wanted you to have a shallow depth of field.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So here, with appropriate use of depth of field, we could accent on the subject that we want. like here, like the one you did.
Mm-hmm.
And here again, it's just focus on this one, not focus on the other things. We will practice today, and we have longest and shorter first depth of field, and you will understand what I'm talking about. Thin or shallow depth of field is generally desired by portrait photographers, as I already mentioned, as the separation between the subject and the background draws the attention to the subject. We see just this beautiful girl. We are not distracted by the background. A wide depth of field is generally desired by landscape, product, and macro photographers, where the entirety of the scene or subject should be well defined. Here you see the grass in front of the photo is completely in focus, and also that the house on the rocks there also are on the focus. So we see all of them. So here we have a very wide depth of field. Now we are going to talk about aperture and depth of field. The size of aperture affects the photograph depth of field. So previous time we talked about how aperture control the light. Now we want to talk about how aperture control the depth of field. You see here 1.8, 2.8, 4, 5.6. The size are going to be different, but also we are changing the depth of field. I will show it to you from here again. Then see, changing this one.
Excuse me. All right, if my lens doesn't have that second aperture spinny thing.
No, your lens doesn't have. This is very old lens.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
you cannot change your aperture from your lens.
I see. So it's normal then.
No, it's normal. For
Okay.
nowadays, yeah, you cannot, because everything is moved to the camera body, and you change the aperture with some just ordering from digital point, digital numbers, and that's all.
Okay,
Actually,
sorry.
you are changing them, but not with your hand. Okay. So you're seeing again that in inspiration book. Now I'm gonna talk about how we control the field here. So we have 5.6, and the focus is here, and it's on AV mode, and it's on ISO is automatic. So I start the first photo, and the camera will optimize and decide about the shutter speed. For now, camera just choose 1 of 200 of the seconds. See? Okay, I took the photo, and then I change it to 8. Yes. So the focus is not changing. The focus is still on the book. The focus is not changing. The frame is not changing. All I am changing is the F number, means aperture. 8. And the camera is adjusting ISO and shutter speed. Because the battery is low. I should change the battery of camera after this one. When you are going to practice, I will change it. But the result could be very nice. You'll find it really interesting. Okay, let's see the photos. This one, the folder. Okay, now you're seeing this folder and these photos. Good. So this one, first of all, I want to show you just the numbers. So here, if you look at this one, I'm just moving my mouse on the photos. You see that they have different F numbers. So this is F32, 5.6, 8, 11, 16, and 22, and this is the last one, 32. So I'm gonna to start with this one. Maybe I copy the wrong one. No, they're okay. Okay, with this one, if you look at this one, we cannot see the background. You're seeing the photo, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm changing the photo. I'm going to this next one. See, the background are going to be visible. Okay, you see here the background is completely blurred and the focus is on the book, inspiration. Now I move the photo one by one. So the background is going to be visible one by one. See? Now the background is visible and the focus is the same. The focus didn't move, nothing moved, just the aperture. So did you get the point? With changing the aperture, we change the depth of field, how we are gonna see through the photos. Small and longer, and the longest one that we can see the pillows there. So this is the focal point. And sorry, this is the depth of field controlled by aperture. Here you can see that this is what we have exactly right now. F2 and F16, these are the differences. The first one, we can just see the little thing, the grip, I think, and the F16, we can see a little of background. You can see that there is a car, there are some trees, and we can understand that. The f-stops works an inverse value, such as the small f number, say f2.8, corresponds to a larger or wider aperture size, which result in shallow depth of field. So if you want a shallow depth of field, means a small portion in focus, means that you want the background be blurred and blurry completely. So you should go to short, to small f numbers, like 2.8, or if you have your, whatever your lens have. Usually your name is 5.6, your lens. Conversely, a large f number like f16 result in a smaller or narrower aperture size. Okay, the aperture size is small, narrow. This is a tiny hole, and the depth of fields, it's bigger, it's deeper. This is very important right now, and I want you to practice. But what I want to practice? Exactly what I did. So fix your camera somewhere, like what I did, and just choose an object, put it in front of your camera. Again, please use your longest focal length because you want to have a shallow depth of field. And put it in front of that. Then you should have a background like those pillows. Then just change it F number. So the question is that how you are gonna to change your F number. Exactly the same way that you were changing, shutter speed in TV mode. In AV mode, again here in Canon, here it's changing the F when you are on AV mode. In Nikon, it's again the same. So the things that you were changing, most of the cameras here, this dial. So when you are on S or A, this is the main thing that you are gonna deal with. So for now, please go and practice this. If you have any question, I'm here. If not, I can meet you 15 minutes later. Please work on it. Change the F number and see the blurry background changing to visible background.
I have a question about the range. So the range on my camera is 5.6, f5.6 all the way to f36. Now that's the limitation of the lens, right?
Yeah.
Be able to do that? Okay. Good. I didn't find a significant difference in the pictures. The backgrounds, yes, but I think that's probably just because the level of lighting in the room. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no.
just about the background because the focus is the same. So
Mhm.
your focus is not changing. Just the depth of field is getting bigger and bigger. So usually it's from 1/3 in front and 2/3 back of the subject. So if, for example, suppose that if this is the subject, so the background will be all the depth of field would change like this. Anyone want to share the photos that she or he just took the same thing that I did? I mean, that changing the background. Okay, change them.
Did that work?
I didn't see much of change. Could you go from the first?
Oh, you're right. So that one was supposed to be, the pot was supposed to be the most in focus. I only went up to like an F12. And I don't know why, but it's showing like the background is quite grainy. Is that just like my camera or?
No, it's okay. You know why the background is grainy? Because we are using automatic ISO and camera choose the very high ISO, and for now it's okay. But later we will come to choosing the ISO wisely. But I cannot see much difference in the background. Could you tell us the F number from different of your different photos? What are the F numbers?
So that's, sorry, how do you do that again? Oh, just
Yeah, show the option. Yeah.
Okay, so this one was F16 and then
F16.
F11 and F8.
Okay, yeah. So they are all this near to each other. Did you try 5.6 and then have 11 and 16 or something like that?
Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so I'll try that. I'll try
Yeah,
that.
start from your lowest F number and then go to highest one. And please use your longest focal length. So here we are. So you see here, this is F2 and this is F16. You should come to something like this. For example, Jose, you did a very good job, but it was much better if you try also, for example, F16 or F22 to have the differences.
Okay.
I know that you understand it and you practice it, but sharing with each other. I'm just talking about that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, focal distance and depth of field. So the other thing that is really important in depth of field is focal distance. I want to say that if you have, for example, a lens 200 millimeters or a lens with 50 millimeters, they're gonna have different depth of field at the f point, for example, 2. See here in this diagram, you see that the area in sharp focus that it's showing with red, it's a little narrow, but in the area in f50 millimeter, it's not the same. So they are different. And if we have longer focal distance, longer focal length, we have shorter shallow depth of field. So these are the differences. And this is the point that I ask you to use your longest shallow depth of field. Is it very nice that, for example, some of you have 3.5-5.6? So these are the lowest number of F, but you cannot have 3.5, for example, on 55 millimeters, but you have on 18. So what is your choose? You should go to 18 and have 3.5 F number to have shallowest depth of field? No, you should go to longest focal distance. Okay, if we want to have the shallowest, if we have to want the narrowest depth of field, it's very important to start with focal length. So choose your longest focal length. If you have 18 to 135, choose 135. If you have 200, choose 200. If you have 85, choose 85. So anything that is longer. Then after that, go to your lowest F number. Here you see. Okay, this is the same woman in the same background, but all the F number is 2.8, but the lenses are different. You see, 50 millimeter, 100 millimeter, and 200 millimeter, but the backgrounds are different. So in 200 millimeter, the background is blurry. Now you understand that why portrait photographers love 200 millimeter portrait lens. If you ask a portrait photographer, what is your favorite lens? Most of them say 72 200 millimeter f2.8. It means that they love this lens because it has a very good shallow depth of field and very blurry background, and it's suitable for portrait. If you ask anyone which portrait is better, so the right one is better because we have the shallowest depth of field. The other thing that is very important is our distance. I mean the distance of our subject to the lens or to the sensor. You see in these three photos, aperture is 8 in all of them. Shutter speed is not important here. ISO is not much important here, but they are the same, but the distance are different. So the first on the right is 1.8 feet. The second is 30 feet. And the last one on the left is 5 feet. You can see that the background is changing. And the right one has the shallowest depth of field. Okay, what is our conclusion for these three things? I want to say that if you want to have, this is the question, okay? Just answer me, please. If you want to have the shallowest depth of field of your lens, what should you do?
Have it on like the longest focal length.
Yes, first of all, choose your longest focal length, then
Distance.
Then, okay, what is the distance? What you should do about the distance?
Bring like the object closer.
Yeah,
Most
as
field.
much as you can. Okay, close as much as you can to the object. Good. And this is the second one. And the third one.
Hold on. The aperture setting.
Yeah, F
Right,
number,
okay.
aperture. F number, the lowest F number. Thank you. So these are the three things. When you want to take a photograph that is the shallowest depth of field, you should go for three things. First of all, your longest focal length. For example, here, 135 for focal length. Then I will come as close as I can to my subject. So what is my subject limitation? It's the 39 millimeters, means 40 centimeters, approximately 40 centimeters. I will come close that much to my object. Then I choose the lowest F number that in this lens is 5.6. Look at this one. So I will come as close as I can here. Then, can you see me? No, you cannot see. Okay, I will take the photo and I will show you. So this lens could have the very good shallow depth of field. I will show it to you right now. You see, so the focus is on this dot on this mug, and if you see, for example, 1 millimeter over there, just, you know, the side one, the side ones are not in focus. And even the background is completely blurred. And even the other edge of the bug is blurred. So it means that we have a very, very narrow depth of field when I use all of these three things. So this is very important to know these three things to control your background, to have it. So why we should be careful about the background, why we should control it. For example, when you want to have something like bokeh. Let's go to bokeh. So what is bokeh? Bokeh is aesthetics quality of the blur produced in out of focus part of an image produced by a lens. Bokeh has been defined as the way the lens renders out of focus point of light. So point of light, this is very important. Points of light. You see this girl, this little girl, there are some points of light that actually some rays just coming through the leaves of the trees and branches of the trees. So this point here changes to some blurry things. The one that I started with the girl photo, Haley photo. You forgot, you know, you don't know her name. Yeah, this one. You see the first one here. So here again we have, these are just some spot of lights, points of lights that changing to circle. So these are beautiful. You can have during day when you have spots of lights on grass like this, or you have among branches and leaves. The one that Jose took photo, I think it could be bokeh for if she get closer to the object and also do all the things. The background could be bokeh. And here also we could have during night, see there are spotlights in the city. And if you want to do it with your current lens, you may not be able to take a bokeh or portrait bokeh like this one or like the photo of the girl Haley. But you cannot do that because you should be close to your object. And when with a lens like this one that we have here, you want to take the photo as close as one, then you have just the mouth of your portrait subject, or you have the nose, or you have the eyes. So it's not good. If you want to try something that could be beautiful, but also use your current lens like 1855 or whatever you have, you can use these small objects like these things that the previous students did. So these photos are from previous students. You see, they choose some small items like these tying a sculpture, and take bokeh photos. Okay, for now, I want you to practice to have the narrowest depth of fields and also the longest depth of field that you have from the same object. I want you to have something like this one. Okay, try something like this one. Let me show you. Okay, the shortest and the longest. But if you have opportunity like that Jose has, I saw from her backyard in her previous photo, if you have some option like this, you can try to have bokeh. If you do not have, it's okay. Just practice to have the shallowest depth of field. It could be bokeh later when you have spotlights, points of light. And if you are in so you are somewhere else in another country and you have lights during night, you can do it. Maybe Ilhan could it, I don't know. Anyone, just try to practice it again for 15 minutes. It's very important. And if you have any question, I'm here.
Can you see this?
Yeah, we are seeing your desktop right now.
So this is my first picture.
Okay.
I think the lowest I could go was 5.6.
Mm-hmm.
And the highest I can go was 22.
Yeah, see, very nice. Yeah, very nice.
Then the next one is also 5.6.
And it has a little bit blurry things that there. Yeah, okay. So yeah, good. So did you try to come as close as possible?
Yeah, I did. The trouble with that was I have a 250 millimeter, so
Mhm.
pretty
Yeah.
zoom.
So it's pretty zoom. Yeah, it's telelens. And what else? That's all?
Well, these are the good pictures. The
Okay,
rest
yeah,
I
good.
kind of deleted.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We really enjoyed. Share a screen, then you can share everything. Okay.
Yeah, so there was this one right here. This one, I believe, was the max. So I did, let me see what the information says. So this one's taken at 1/100, and then the f-stop was 36, and then the ISO is 1600. And then afterwards, then I got the bokeh here in the background.
Yeah, a little one, but it's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you see the lights among branches and among leaves could be to bokeh. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, nice. See? Yeah. So what are the lights? These are city light?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. So we see city light and a small,
There's a
tiny
skyscraper
elephant.
here.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
skyscraper here, and there's a there are islands over here.
Good.
And it was my the first one is the 5.6, the lowest one. I couldn't go like the highest one because I wasn't using
was dark.
tripod. Yeah, my hand was shaking, so I took just 3 of them. 21, 5.6.
Yeah.
This one is 9.5. This one is 16.
Okay. And I have a suggestion for you, for your convenience. I see that the time of your camera it's not up to date.
Yes, I will change it.
Yeah, please change it because it's very good for yourself when you want to find your photos. And okay, it's because it's 2000 and 2020 years ago.
Yeah.
So change it. So I'm going to talk about starburst. Starburst effects can add an interesting elements to a photograph. In a dark, moody scene, it can add a dreamy, peaceful twinkle to the light. In a daytime scene, starburst effect from the sun can add drama and interesting to otherwise uneventful sky. So you see these things here in spotlight change to something like a star instead of being bokeh. So this is something against bokeh. We could like this. Actually, it comes because of a problem in the lens that we call it diffraction. So diffraction actually it's a problem in lenses. But if we use it in some creative mode like this one and take the photo of lights, it changed to a starburst and it's very nice. You see here, again, we have here starburst and city lights. And here, starburst of sun. Starburst of sun, it's very good if we put the sun on the edge of something. It's much better. For example, take a photo of the sun when it's at the edge of the wall or among the trees or something, when it's a little spot. Like this one, it's among trees. And here, it's in a wedding. Okay, this is the last thing that we are going to talk about and practice. For now, I want to show you how to have starburst in home. So I said that it's opposite of bokeh. So can you guess that what aperture we can choose for having a starburst?
So it has to be a higher f-stop?
Yeah, higher and closest aperture. Very good. Okay, I will show it to you right now. So here I have again this light in my camera. I use this one. I put it there in my mobile phone, where is it? Yeah, flashlight. Okay, I will put it there and I connect the camera. Then we can see what happened. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna focus on the spot there. I think it's focus, or maybe use automatic focus before. It's changing. Okay, focus. Now, again, we start from 5.8, 5.6 to the highest F number to see what happened. Okay, the light is on, start. You are seeing my screen, right? You are seeing the photo and pillows and mobile phone. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, okay. I start from 5.6, then 1, 2, 3 means 0.8. One stop. I just go stop to a stop. We have 1/3 of a stop among them. You know already. It is very good if you learn these F numbers. Some of them that is much important, like 5.6, 8, 11, 16. You should learn these things that in your mind. If you have in your mind, it's much better. Actually, you can find them on your cameras, but one by as much as you practice, you will learn them. And 32. So the ISO is now very high, but it's okay for now because we're just practicing. And what is the last one? Yeah, this is the last one. Let's see. So you see, this is the last one. You see the starburst? And I go from the last one to the first one. See, it's changing, and it's, you know, the rays are going to be shorter and shorter. So this is the first one. You do not have a starburst here, but if we go to the 32, we have this starburst, very nice and beautiful.
There. Can you see the picture?
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one is a f-stop at 4. And then from then I just like...
No, it's not 4. It's probably 32 or 22 or something.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. And then... Yeah.
Yeah. So you're coming down. Yeah, this is 4. Oh, this is also, yeah, good, good. I like it.
I took one of the sun as well. So
yeah, today is sunny. It's very good. I guess you're in Calgary, right?
Yes, I am in Calgary. Yes.
So yeah, this is today is sunny. Yeah, it's very nice. See, you can take the photo of sun among branches, and it's very nice. Yeah, I like it. Good.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone else? Okay, so let's go through assignments and contact sheets. What is it? This is the, okay, it's, so this is your contact sheet for tomorrow. So the reason of the contact sheet, it's to show that it's to show me or prove to me that you are practicing this thing. So if you're okay and practice, you can also use today's photographs. But if you need more, you should practice more and more. This is very important. So here, what I want here, 12 different images representing practice and exploration depth of field. put your camera in aperture priority mode. It means AV or A, and take different photos of different objects. So at least try different objects, not just, for example, take 12 photos of 3 same objects. Please change the objects because it puts you in different situation. If you go from room to outside yard, different situation, please try different situation. And it's the same like this one, okay? The first one, the focus is here. On the second one, so the focus is here on the second one, and it's not gonna change. But the F is changing. Again, the focus is on the second one, but we can see a little bit of the this probably wooden curtain or anything. And now we see all of the buildings far from here. So I want you to practice aperture, depth of field, and this is all.